Everyone. So today we are going to discuss the chapter number 12, electricity part 1. Now talking about the electricity, so electricity is basically a motion of charges that constitute the as a power source for our electrical appliances. Like in our room or home, we can see the fan is working, or we are using a CFL, we are charging a phone. Then all the phenomena are related to the electricity. Now let's talk about the definition of charge. So charge is a prerequisite unit of electricity. That means every property or any kind of material in this world have there some kind of charges that can be positive or negative. But to be very specific, we can see a definition that has been explained on the basis of numerical calculation. So let's see the definition that 1 coulomb or charge is that quantity of electric charge which exerts the force of 9 into 10 to the power 9 newtons on an equal charges that are placed at 1 meter from each other. Like we have these two charges, one is positive and one is negative. So if both are placed in the gap of 1 meter, both are placed at a gap of 1 meter, then they will apply a force that is 9 into 10 to the power 9 newton of attraction or either repulsion. Then this quantity of charge is known as 1 coulomb of charge. Now let's see the second point, that both electron and proton have same charge value, that is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs, but their opposite is their nature is opposite. That means one is positive and the other is negative. So electron have a negative charge and a positive and positive for the proton, but the magnitude, or if we say a value, the value is same for both of them. So we have already discussed that the type of charges, that there have been two type of charges, positive and negative. And there is a very famous example, or you can say experiment, that is of the glass rod that is rubbed on a silk cloth, acquires a positive charge, and also a ebonite rod that acquires a negative charge when it is rubbed on the woolen cloth. We have also conducted a very famous game, that is attracting a paper with the help of a comb. Now I want you to focus on a sample problem that is given in the NCERT book, that is calculate the number of electrons constituting 1 coulomb of charge. So we have now discussed in a previous slide that what is the quantity, or what is the charge on a single negative ion, that is on electron or a proton. But now I want you to see that what is the value of 1 coulomb, that is how many electrons a coulomb can contain. So the same is the question that we have to solve here. So we know that the charge of an electron is this much value. Okay, so if the charge is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb, okay, this is the charge on a single electron, and we have one electron only. Then what I can do, if the charge is 1 coulomb, then number of electrons we can transfer this value on the right hand side and it will become inverse. Now if you will try to solve this value, you will get a quantity that is 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 number of electrons in 1 coulomb. That means 1 coulomb charge, that we are saying 1 coulomb charge is actually the 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 number of electrons that constitute a 1 coulomb charge. So what we see, that 1 coulomb charge appears to be smaller, but it's not like that. In fact, it is a very big charge, or very big number of electrons that actually constitute a 1 coulomb of charge. Now let's come to the another topic, that is known as conductors and insulators. So there are several substances that are categorized into the two types, that is one is conductor and the other is insulator. So based on the type of charges and their properties, we can say that those substances through which the electricity can flow easily or in a very high quantity, that are known as conductors. So all the metals like silver, copper, aluminum, steels, and all other like metallic other examples are comes under the conductors. We can also see a figure here that it is a copper wire. It is a copper wire. Okay, so if it is not insulated, or you can say if it is not covered with the plastic, then these all are the very good conductor of electricity. Okay, again some more examples has been given here that you can read out. Okay, carbon is also here, and one thing to be mentioned, that the human body is also a very good conductor. That's why if we try to touch the electric circuit with the bare hands, we get a very high conducting electricity, or you can say a electric shock. Now come to the second classification of material, that is insulators. Okay, so what is insulator? So those substances that do not allow the electricity to flow, or that have a very low response to electricity, they comes under the insulators. For example, like glass, ebonite, rubber, and most of the plastics, okay, cloths, etcs, they all come under the insulators. We can also see the diagram that how using a plastic switches we can save ourselves with the electricity with the sudden shock. Now let's see that what is the reason behind the conductor effect or the insulating effect. So basically all the conductors like metals have some electrons which are loosely bounded to the nuclei. We all know about the structure of electrons, a basic structure. So these electrons are called free electrons because they can easily move from one atom to the another atom inside the conductor, and thus the presence of these free electrons actually constitute the property of the conductor. Okay, but if we talk about the insulators, then they have a very less amount of electrons that are present in the form of free, in the free form, that is there is almost no free electrons in an insulator. Thus we find that it is not responding, or it is not good at the electricity. Now we have to study the electrostatics into the two parts, electricity into the two parts. So the first part is static electricity. So electricity comes when the charges are lying at rest. This part is also known as electrostatics, that we have to cover much deeper in the class 12th, but in class 10th level we have to more deal with the electric current, that is the part of electricity because of the motion of the charges. Okay, so these are some notes regarding the static electricity. Okay, the lightning which we see in the sky during the rainy season also involves the static electricity. Okay, so these are some examples of static electricity. And the current, electric current, we know that the charges move and electric current constitutes. Okay, now let's talk about basics about the electric current. So electric current is the flow of electric charges. Okay, the flow of electric charges, that is known as electrons. So electrons are basically that moves in a given conductor, okay, such as a metal wire, and the magnitude of the electric current in a conductor is said to be the amount of electric charge that is passing through a given point of the conductor in a 1 second. Okay, so what is the electric current mathematically? So it is the basically the ratio of Q, that is the charges, upon what we have, the time, that is time required to flow of the charges. So if you talk about the SI unit, that is a standard unit, then the SI unit of the current is ampere, that is denoted with the letter A. Now here what we can see, the charges have a unit of coulomb and time as a second. So we can say the coulomb upon second, but that is only a part of representation. But when we will only ask about the unit, then the unit is only the ampere that will use, not coulomb per second. So this is the again the definition of the ampere in the form of in the form of the ratios. Okay, so what is the definition? Let's see that when 1 coulomb of charge flows through any cross section of a conductor in 1 second, the electric current flowing through it is said to be 1 ampere. Okay, so that's it. This ratio is known as 1 ampere, that is 1 coulomb charge flowing through a given area in a 1 second. Okay, now what we see some more types of ampere representation, that is 1 milliampere. So 1 milliampere is also a unit of current, but 1 milli means 1 upon 1000 parts of ampere. That is a very small current that flows through a very small devices like our phone chargers, etc. Okay, we have also one more unit that is known as 1 microampere, that is 10 to a minus 6 ampere. That is the current that flows through a transistors. Okay, the very small electronic devices. So these are the two other types of representation of an ampere. Okay, so that is a 1 ampere, or you can say a milliampere also. So, and there is also a quantity of that is microampere. Now very important point, that how we can measure a current. So to measure a current, we use generally a device that is known as a meter, that is a meter. And one thing to be noted, that it is always connected in a series with the circuit. In series mean in a same line or in a same path of a electric circuit. Okay, so it is connected in a series. Here you can see that it is a part of a conductor B and C. B and C is a part of conductor. So if you want to measure the current in this conductor, you have to connect in the same line in series. Okay, not like this, not like this. Okay, you have to connect in the series only. Okay, so there is one more line, that ammeter should have a very low resistance so that it may not change the value of current flowing through it. Okay, so we have not discussed the resistance now, but I think just to note these points, we will understand this point once more when we will discuss the resistance. Now let's talk about the electric potential. So after the current, there is a one more factor, that is electric potential. Okay, so we all know basic about the potential energy, that how a water can be stored at higher potential. Okay, and when the dam is open, the water automatically flow to the lower level of ground. So similarly, we have also a electric potential that is related with the flow of the charges. So charge also have a ability to move from one point to another, but what we need a requirement of a work done. Okay, a work done, or you can say energy is required to move a unit charge from infinity to a particular point, that is known as the electric potential, and it is represented by the symbol that is V or 1 volt. Okay, so this is the definition of 1 volt, that is when we require a 1 joule of work done, or 1 joule of energy is spent in moving a unit coulomb of charge from infinity to a particular point. Okay, now comes a second point, that is potential difference. The potential difference is actually defined for 2 points. Okay, so what we see the difference, that if I say only potential, then it must be defined from infinity to a particular point. Okay, but if I call it a potential difference, then you must mention that it is the work done between the 2 points, this first point and the second point. If you want to move a unit charge, then it requires only the work done between these 2 points. Okay, so this is the potential difference that is defined for 2 points, and it is the amount of work done in moving a unit charge from one point to another. And this is 1 volt that we have just explained, that is 1 joule upon coulomb. Okay, so joule is the unit of work done and 1 coulomb is for the charge. So we can say 1 volt have a unit of joule per coulombs. Now you can see a diagram here. So this is the voltmeter, that this is a device that is used to measure the potential difference. Now one more thing interesting here, that if you want to measure the potential difference between the 2 points, then you must connect it in parallel. Okay, so parallel means that is between the 2 points you have to connect it, so that it can measure the work done between the 2 points. Okay, again you will understand the reason in the further discussion of resistance. Okay, so these are some more points, like the SI unit is volt, that was already discussed. And sometimes in question you will see the potential difference is also written as the potential difference as a P dot D, that is PD. Okay, this is again the definition of the work done that we have already discussed. Now let's talk about the direction of electric current. Okay, let's talk about the electric current. So this is the battery, that is the cell, this is the wire, and this is the bulb. So this bulb, wire and battery constitute the electric circuit. This is known as the electric circuit. Okay, now there are two kinds of electric circuits. First let's understand it. The first one is open circuit. Okay, so you can see the second diagram here. The switch, the wire is breaked so that no current is flowing through it. Okay, so if the cell is not connected or if the wire is breaked at some point, then this circuit is known as open circuit. Okay, in first way, in C, that there is a current flowing and the bulb is glowing. That means there is a continuous connection of the battery and the wire. Okay, so this type of circuit is known as closed circuit. Okay, now let's talk about the direction of electric current. So the conventional direction of electric current is positive to negative. So what the direction of current is? Positive to negative, positive to negative. But here it is written conventional direction. What does it mean? Let's read out the second point. The actual flow of electrons which constitute the electron is, however, from negative terminal to the positive terminal of a cell. Okay, so what we are seeing a very contradictory both points, that is, it is saying that the flow of electrons is from negative to positive. Okay, but what is it mentioned in the first point, that the direction is positive to negative? So there is a very interesting reason for it, that when the electric current was invented, then we are not have a information of the electrons. Okay, we just know that there are two charges but no information about the electrons. So earlier the scientist named it in a conventional way that electric current has a direction of positive to negative, but the direction even after the discovery of electron were not corrected and still taken as the same way that is written as the first point. But if we ask about the flow of electrons or the direction of electron, then we must say that it is flow inside that it has a direction of negative to positive, negative to positive. Okay, so when we will study the current, okay, when it is asked only about the current, then you must consider the direction with the reference to first point only. Okay, so we have again a direction that is defined with the first point, that is positive to negative. So current flows in positive to negative. Okay, so this we have to take care of. So these are some example important symbols that we have to see, that we need to see, and only few examples, like this is the ammeter. You can see this is the ammeter, a small way to represent the ammeter. This is a voltmeter that is used to measure the potential difference. We have already seen this. Now this is galvanometer. Okay, now this is the new word, I think. Okay, this is a new word for you. So basically ammeter and galvanometer are both the same thing that measure current, but just the difference is the ammeter measures higher values of current and galvanometers measures a very small quantity of current, that is 10 to the minus 3 or milliampere level. Okay, otherwise both are the same devices. However, potential difference is measured by voltmeter. You can again see the symbol that is of cell. Though there is a big line and then a small line. So big line represent the positive terminal and a small line represent negative terminal. Again we have two batteries connected here. This is for resistance, okay, and this is for electric bulb. This is a symbol for closed path. This is for the open switch. Okay, so these are the important that we have to consider. Okay, we will also see the further symbols as we move on the next part of it. So thank you very much for attending this lecture. I hope this lecture you have enjoyed this lecture. Okay, thank you very much.